Hi everyone and welcome back to another episode of Sideboard Files on HEDRON.TV. Manuel here, your host, joined once again by Alex Takic. Hello there.
Hello there. I'm glad to be back here after quite some time.
Nice. And we finally close our, let's say, exploration of Sideboard plans of TitanShift. Yeah, I see you like the pun. So yeah, batch number 2 of Sideboard plans. So we can close this chapter and a lot of nice and interesting information to share. And the first thing I would like to just underline is that we are actually working with the same main deck configuration. So here's the list. No changes.
No changes there.
All right. So this is the list for reference that we are using for these sideboard plans. And of course, the sideboard that we have right here, also the same, no changes. So same of the previous episode. And we just closing this little excursus on the sideboard plans for TitanShift. The first matchup they would like to discuss is this new 5-color humans. This is an interesting one, attacking the metagame from a different angle, and can be very annoying. So we need to be prepared for this one as well.
Definitely.
And the question, of course, is what are your objectives in Game 2 when you face this deck?
So 5-color humans became quite popular in the recent weeks, recent tournaments, and it's very explosive and disruptive. But also, the weakness in this deck is it gets disrupted easily by interaction. So in this matchup, our goal is to just keep the board clear of threats. For example, Meddling Mage, very annoying threat, of course. The freebooters, which can take out our combo pieces and interactive spells. And just try to slowly but surely assemble our combo pieces and to win the game. Okay,
so you want to assume a sort of control role, killing the key creatures,
yes,
or even just keeping the board totally empty.
That would be the perfect case. Yeah, that scenario.
And be able, of course, to execute a game plan and win the game from there.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So, sideboard plans. On the play, on the draw, we have differences, or is it the same?
The only difference there is the Explore on the play and the Forcing on the draw.
Okay, as we explained in the previous episode on TitanShift, the difference because of the fact that on the draw you will draw one more card, so you maximize the chances. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, very good. So let's start with the draw, what you side out and what you side in when you are on the draw.
So we are siding out 2 copies of Mammoth the Acid Moss. People might think 5-color humans has a greedy mana base because they're playing 5 colors, but the thing is, not at all. This is not the case at all, because they have lands, for example, Cavern of Souls and Unclaimed Territory, which produce basically every color of the mana pie. So attacking those lands is not the good strategy there, because they also have Aether Vial, which help them cheat their creatures in the play, even without any in the lands, even with Blood Moon on the battlefield or Ghost Quarters. So the SMOs here are not the prime strategy, so we can board out these safely. Also, 2 copies of Relic Progenitors. Don't do much in this matchup. They're not dealing with the graveyard, so they can get bored out quite easily. 1 copy of Scapeshift. We want to at least still keep the 2 copies on main board, the win conditions. And 1 copy of Forseek. And 2 copies of Our Promise. Our Promise is a slow card in this matchup. And we still have 2 copies, so it's a solid card to board out. We want to get as much room as possible, as much space as possible for the interactive spells.
Okay, very good. Well, very clear. Or crystal clear, is like to say.
Crystal clear, yes. Hashtag crystal clear.
Hashtag crystal clear, yeah. What comes in?
So what comes in are 3 copies Lightning Bolt, 2 copies of Anger of the Gods, 2 Beast Withins, and 1 Engineer Explosives. Pretty self-explanatory. These are all the interactive spells we have in our sideboard, and we want to board in as many of them as possible. All of them.
Okay. So all just to kill these creatures, all just to control the board.
Exactly.
Okay, sweepers and spot removals. So you want a combination of both.
Yeah. I mean, the Beast Withins create another creature, another threat on their side, but the thing is, we rather want to have them have a free creature than I don't know what's called the card, the human, which gets counters every time you play a human.
Champion of the Parish.
Yeah, exactly. Yes,
that guy can get really big, really quick.
We want rather a 3/3 on their side than a 7/7 on their side.
Sure, absolutely. So, and they have all creatures that are doing something. They have effects. I mean, they can control your hand in the case of the Kitesail Rebooter, or they can tax your mana. Yeah, and the 3/3 it's a 3/3 but does nothing else, and maybe can be also killed later on if necessary by a lightning bolt or an anger of the gods. But this is not the priority. Is removing those creatures that are somehow hindering your game plan.
And also, Metal Mage is usually going to name the target lightning bolt, so we want to have another instant speed removal in form of Beast of Him to deal with those creatures, to deal with the Metal Mage, to be able to cast lightning bolts again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very true, very true. All right, so the other scenario, you are going to be on the play. We have a slight change in what you side out because of the Explore Farseek thing.
Yeah. So the slight change here is we're, instead of boarding out the Farseek, one copy of Farseek, we are boarding out the one copy of Explore.
Yeah, that's all. That's all, really. And the cards are still the same. The
Yeah.
roles are still the same.
Yeah.
And of course, what we side in is absolutely the same.
Also stays the same, yes.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you need removals, and that's what I do. It doesn't matter if you're on the play or on the draw. You just want to kill these creatures.
Matter.
Very good. So I would say that for this matchup, we covered everything we wanted to cover, so we can go on with the next matchup. And what do we have? I think Jeskai Tempo is the one we want to talk about.
Yes, Jeskai Control Tempo. I'd rather call it Tempo, because it has many tempo-oriented spells, tempo-oriented strategy.
Okay, very good. So what are your objectives in Game 2 when you are facing this deck?
So this matchup is one of the more difficult ones, because they have so many counter spells, disruptive spells, and a clock via creatures, and Geist of Saint Traft or Spell Queller, and also a way to basically burn you down with burn spells. Lightning Helix, Lightning Bolts, Electrolyze, and they have the Snap Carousel Mage as well, which can like flashback all of these spells.
To
just burst you down out of nowhere. So what we're trying here is try to combo as fast as possible, as soon as possible, but also try to navigate the game flow in our favor and not to fall into their traps, into their game plan, into their counter spells, because they have many of them. So this is the plan there.
Okay, when you say navigate your game through, you mean that you want to play around the counter spells, or you also
kind of
want
control what they're doing.
Okay, and the same. I mean, you want somehow to make sure they don't use your resources, their resources. Sorry, like I don't know, Snapcaster Mage, that kind of stuff. You want to shut down that kind of thing, or is more
kind of, yeah. We don't want to slam like our things into the board, and knowing that they have the counter spell, they have the Spell Queller, for example. We want to for example, have the Lightning Bolt as a backup plan and try to kind of play around it.
Okay. So playing around the permission spells and whatever they could try to do to make sure that you don't actually execute a game plan. So
yeah, we don't work around. We don't want to go blindly into this matchup and just slam our things down.
Being cautious, being wary.
Cautious.
Yeah, that's what you want to do.
Cautious, yes.
Okay, very good. Cyber plans on the play, on the draw. We have the same cyber plans, or there are changes as well?
There's also the slight change with the Explorer and Farseek.
And that's all?
That's all, yes.
Okay, so we covered the draw, and more or less it's going to be the same. Then we just go very quick on the other scenario on the play. So let's start with the draw. What do you side out and what do you side in?
So 2 copies of Mobile Asset Moss. Also doesn't do much in this matchup. It takes a mana base, of course, but otherwise it doesn't really help us with our strategy or attacks their strategy. So it can get boarded out quite easily. And 1 Farseek and 2 copies of Our Promise, 1 copy of Prismatic Omen. We still want to keep 1 Prismatic Omen at least, because it's quite a good card. But we don't want to draw into the second copy. We don't want to draw into dead cards in this matchup, because it's quite a race there. And also 2 copies of Summoner's Pact. The reason why I chose the Summoner's Pact over the Scape Shifts is we want to keep the Scape Shift as a win condition, because Summoner's Pact gets countered by Dispel. And we want to have, basically because of that, we want to have the Scape Shifts as a win condition, primal win condition in this matchup, instead of the Summoner's Pact.
Okay. So you believe that somehow looking for your creature is not going to be necessary because maybe then the game is going to be a little bit longer, or is it just that you don't want to give them more targets to their counter spells?
Exactly,
somehow?
yes. I mean, we still have the Lightning Bolts as our instant speeds, but I'd rather go for the Summoner's Pact. They know we have Summoner's Pact, they rather want to go for dispelling the Summoner's Pact. And we want to give them as many dead cards as possible to win the race.
Okay, totally understood. Right. So we covered everything for the siding out. We can go for what comes in.
So in this matchup, we want to have as well many interactive spells. So we are boarding in 3 copies of Lightning Bolt, 2 copies of Anger of the Gods, because that deals with most of the creatures. They have around toughness 1, 2, 3, so these are pretty much every creature. And also with the Guise of Saint Draft, which can't get killed by target removal.
Sure.
So Anger and Sweltering Suns is our solution here. 1 copy of Tidus Tracker and 2 copies of Obstinate Valve to kind of have a backup plan and give us a bit of time. Obstinate Valve giving us a bit of life. And we also want to have, we also want to have threats on our side.
Okay.
Because they're going to board out, I think, most of the burn spells, so we don't have the fear of getting our creatures removed.
Okay.
So we want to offer threats as well to the board.
Okay. So having an alternative plan in case your combo doesn't really cut it.
Yeah.
You want to have another way to win the game.
Exactly, yes.
Okay. Very good. Tireless Tracker, also the same thing. We were talking about another threat there. And if they really remove the side out, all the removals, or many of the removals, it's going to be more difficult for them to deal with the Tireless Tracker. And we know that if the Tireless Tracker is not dealt with, can become lethal very quickly.
Yes, they have to deal, they have to be to watch out, be cautious for more win conditions now, and then not only Escape Shift or Summer's Pact. They have to watch out for the battles as well, Tidus Tracker, and they have to save the counter spells, save the disruption for these spells as well.
Okay, very good. So, other scenario, you are on the play. The only change when you of the cards you side out is the Explorer instead of a Fireseek.
Yes,
I remember that after saying this so many times.
The rest
it got in my head. And the cards that you side in are exactly the same here as well, because you don't need to adapt. All right. So next, what do we have? I think Abzan Midrange.
Abzan
so
Midrange,
no
yes.
counter companies, but the other Abzan Midrange
Exactly,
creatures.
yes.
Okay, very good. Again, the objectives in game 2 when you face this deck.
So Abzan Midrange is one of those very comfortable matchups. And in this matchup, we're trying to defend our hand because we don't want our hand to get torn apart by discard spells, Thoughtseize, Lane of the Veil, Inquisitor of Kozilek.
Yeah.
So we are trying that, and try to board in some kind of removal against their pile of 2-drops in the form of Engineering Explosives. And otherwise, we just follow our game plan, ramp up, try to play our combo. That's pretty much it there.
Okay.
And we also have, in case that doesn't work somehow, we have a backup plan via Tidus Tracker and Abzan Midrange.
So you want to board also some creatures there to make sure that you have an alternative.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, very good. Again, on the play on the draw, do we have the same type of plans? Is it still the Farseek Explore thing?
Yeah.
Okay, very good, very
Surprisingly.
good. Surprisingly. All right. On the draw, what do you side out and what do you side in?
So on the draw, we are siding out 2 copies of Prismatic Omen. We don't have to be that explosive in this matchup, and also they have access to Abrupt Decay, which is the Prismatic Omens are the only targets for Abrupt Decay, so we can safely cut those. And 1 copy of Farseek on the draw, and 1 copy of Sweltering Suns. 3 damage doesn't do a whole lot in this matchup, so we can safely cut these.
Yeah, most of the creatures are bigger in toughness, so it's not going to cut it. Okay, very good. What comes in?
So what comes in are 2 copies of Absent Balov. This is our kind of protection against Liliana of the Whale. It protects our escape shifts, our win conditions, our important spells in our hand against these kind of strategies, Liliana of the Whale. So we can always Summer's Pact an Obstinate Balov in case that happens, or keep an Obstinate Balov in our hand to have this kind of defense against this strategy.
Okay, yeah, very good. We know the interaction of Obstinate Balov and discarding effects from your opponent. That's always a huge gain for you. I mean, having a nice blocker and gaining life, it's always good.
I mean, if they Thoughtseize as turn 1 and see, they have an Obstinate Balov, they kind of have to set up the plane a bit different. They can't just slam the Liliana on turn 3 and plus it.
Sure, and that's good for you. I mean, even if that doesn't happen, it's a good way to somehow slow them down and force them to adapt their game plan to what you have in your hand. This is also another advantage for you, definitely.
Yeah, and Obstinate Balov is a fairly good creature, gives us 4 life, 4 power and toughness. It's a good blocker, I'd say. And we do board in 1 copy of Engineered Explosives. It deals with all the 2-drops in this deck and Lingering Souls tokens. When we Sunburst for 0, I mean, they have Grimflayer, they have Tarmogoyf, they have Dark Confidant, so Engineering Explosive deals with these creatures. And we have 1 copy of TitanShift as our second win condition.
Okay. Different scenario. What you are now on the play because you lost game 1. Sometimes happens.
That can happen, yeah.
Okay. So what do you side out and what do you side in?
So the only difference there is instead of the Farseek, we are siding out the 1 copy of Explore.
Okay. That's all. So the cards you side out are exactly the same, exception made for the Explorer instead of Farseek, as we saw for the other 2 cyber plans. And the cards that you side in are still the same.
Stay the same, yeah.
Very good. Okay, so we can just proceed with the last matchup that we have for this video. Jund Midrange, that's like we're talking about. Some Jund, Abzan Midrange, probably the cyber plan is going to be not too different. But
not too different, yeah.
Anyway, first question first, what are your objectives in game 2 when you face this deck?
So yeah, Jund is fairly similar to Abzan. They follow the same strategy. But the thing is, what we have to watch out for in this matchup is the Blood Moon, which can just blow out of the game.
Okay.
When it comes down, and we don't have a response to that.
That's like priority number 1, dealing with Blood Moon, having answers for that.
That means we have to fetch properly. We have to think about fetching this time, and get our forest as early as possible to still be able to cast our ramp spells or just cards in general, because most of them have the green mana symbol in their convert mana cost, so yeah, we have to watch out for that.
Okay, so be aware of a Blood Moon and having answers for it.
Otherwise, nothing has changed there.
Nothing has changed.
Game plan, yes.
Okay, so still we're talking about having removals to deal with the threats.
Defend our hand.
Defend our hand as well.
Spells.
Okay, and of course, having an alternative plan here as well with creatures?
Yeah, with Tidal Striker and a lovely Abzan Midrange.
Okay. So it might be a little bit more difficult, this one, because of Blood Moon, probably. Because Blood Moon, as you said, can be devastating.
Yeah, it can be, but we have access to Reclamation Sage, to 3 copies of it, because we have 2 copies of Summoner's Pact.
Yeah,
so
true.
It's not a hard way to deal with Blood Moon, as long as we have green mana on the battlefield.
Sure, very good, okay. And also you have Beast Within. It's another card that can remove it.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So let's go then in depth, all details, and again, cyber plans on the play, on the draw. The same or changes with Farseek and Explorer? What do we have there?
Yeah, that's a popular thing going on here.
Let's start with the cyber plans that you have on the draw, what you side out and what you side in.
So on the draw, we are setting out 2 copies of Presenting Omen. Same reason here. We don't need to be that explosive, and we don't want to have get them a target to Abrupt Decay. And 1 copy of Farseek, 1 copy of Acid Moss, and 1 copy of Sweltering Suns. The Acid Moss doesn't do much. I mean, it can deal with the Raging Revines, which is quite okay, but it's not our main game plan. I mean, if the game plan is Raging Revine, I think we are in a good spot, I would say. And also, Blood Moon also kind of neglects their own game plan with Raging Revine, because it turns into a mountain after that.
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry about that much.
Okay.
And the Sweltering Suns, same here as with Abzan Midrange, doesn't kill a whole lot of stuff there, so we can board it out quite easily.
Okay. So what comes in then?
So what comes in are, again, 2 copies of Abzan Midrange, because for obvious reasons. It protects our hand against Liliana of the Whale, and poses a threat, and they have to deal with. And gains us some life, which can help us quite a lot. And 1 copy of Engineer Explosives. Also very, very obvious here. It deals with most of their creatures, which are 2-drops. Tarmogoyf, Dark Confidant. And also 1 copy of Reclamation Sage, because of Blood Moon. And 1 copy of TitanShift, which is our backup plan, in case we don't draw into our Summoner's Pact or Reclamation Sage.
All very, very clear.
Crystal clear. And
when we talk about the other scenario on the play, instead of it being on the draw, the only difference, the Farseek Explorer, but what you side out the rest stays the same.
The rest stays the same,
and the cards that you side in are the same.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. we reached the conclusion of this second batch. So we said all we wanted to say. We covered all the matchups.
This was fast.
Yeah, this was fast, but straight to the point, and I really like it. And I think people at home also enjoyed. Better, going straight to the point rather than blubbering too much.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much, Alex, for being back here once again.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely a pleasure. And you are coming back in the future, for sure, because every now and then I would like to make a sort of update on TitanShift and check on you, what are you doing, and if you change your list or whatever.
Perhaps with a new list and some testing results to back it up.
Sure. In case there are changes and you want to try something different, why not? I mean, 2018. I want to go forward, not backwards. So 2018 is going to be quite a nice year with a lot of GPs and stuff, a lot of modern, going on in big events. So you might need in the future, maybe with the release of Rival of Ixalan or whatever, things might change. The metagame might change.
Of course,
so
yes.
Lists don't always stay the same. So there might be the chance actually to do something with a different list and see, how you adapt to the metagame.
There's always
and your choices that you will make.
Yeah, there's always a chance for the metagame to change drastically. But yeah, 2018 looks very, very promising for Modern because we have 4 Modern GPs next year. And that's quite a lot, quite a number.
We're talking about Europe only or
Europe only.
In the
there
US?
are even more Modern
fantastic.
GPs outside Europe.
Yeah, of course. We are based in Europe, so we talk about Europe mainly. Okay, well, thank you very much once again.
Thank you as well.
Absolutely a pleasure. And a big thank you to all of you who've been watching this video. I hope you enjoyed because we surely did making it. And if you want to let us know your thoughts, there's the comment section below here on YouTube. Or you can also reach us on Twitter and Facebook. Facebook.com/HEDRON.TV, Twitter.com/HEDRON.TV. Last but not least, I would like to thank all the people that subscribed to the channel so far, all the people that wrote us on Reddit and gave us constructive feedback, all the people that wrote nice comments or even constructive feedback on YouTube as well, because this is also very appreciated. We are always trying to get the show better and better, and we want to improve. So suggestions, feedback is always very welcome and always appreciated. And last but not least, part 2. Stay tuned on HEDRON.TV for more content to come. For now, it's goodbye.
Have a good one.